Yeah, we probably need a bit of a chat, don't we? Okay, so look, I know that I've not put up a video in a very long time. We are at well over 2 months at this point. And so that's why I thought I'd sit down this morning before I start the day's work and catch you up on what's going on. And I think a lot of it actually might be really interesting to you. Just as fans of wargaming, miniature painting, and the general nerd hobbies, there's probably a lot going on at TMS right now that's actually worth hearing out. So stick around and we're going to talk about it. But first, I need a sip of coffee because I've only been up for about half an hour. Right. So, first of all, let's answer a couple of critical questions. TMS is not over. I haven't quit YouTube. I haven't retired as a YouTube influencer type or whatever you want to call it. None of that's done. But it is, and I probably should have announced this more officially, to be fair. My bad. It is on hiatus at the moment. So let me explain why. About about 6 months ago now, around the start of the year, I took on an apprentice. I wanted, and I have wanted for a while now, to pass professional mini painting knowledge on, and help sort of create a newer generation of professional studio miniature painter. For those of you that don't know, that's what I do for a living. Um, and that is, in and of itself, it's kind of a weird thing because it's maybe not entirely about teaching someone to be the best painter they can be. In fact, one of the reasons why I started working with apprentice Leo is because he's already a very good painter. And yes, there's definitely room for improvement in his painting, and that's something that I can help with. But more so than anything, he has the right attitude to be able to paint as a professional. Uh, Painting as a professional isn't like painting as a hobbyist. You have to love just the process of painting because you don't get to choose the model ever. And you very, very rarely get to choose exactly what techniques and colors and things like that you're putting onto that model. So, just the process of painting has to be where your joy comes from, or the job is just miserable. And well, I found someone for whom I felt like that fits. I've hopefully been able to flash up a photo of Leo during this so that you can meet them formally, not firmly. That's not a word. Um, but that has obviously meant that I've been concentrating a lot on Leo's learning, tuition, growth. And also, as a result, the studio has actually been doing a lot better recently. I'm not under any illusions that that's entirely to do with having an apprentice. In fact, I don't think it's anything to do with having an apprentice. I think the studio's been doing a lot better recently because the timing has been right, because we have been lucky enough to be seen by the right people at the right time. In fact, to be honest, the majority of it is probably just good luck. But, and again, hopefully, I'm going to be flashing some pictures up while I talk about this. I'm pretty sure I have pictures to illustrate most of it. But recently, the studio has taken on quite a few new clients, and some of them are big commercial clients. For example, Great Escape Games that make Dead Man's Hand, the Western skirmish game that's made in the Lead Belt here in England. Modifius, who you might have heard of, that do the Fallout stuff. We're now working for them as a painter. And probably the biggest one, and the one that's kind of been the most exciting, but has also created the most work, has been Weird Games in the USA, who make Malifaux. And taking on these new clients has meant that there's a lot of commercial standard work coming into the studio recently. And that will reflect in what you've seen going up on my Instagram. Commercial standard work it kind of depends on what you're being hired for. So Weird don't do box art painted miniatures. If you've ever seen weird packaging, then you will know that what they do is put art, as in traditional 2D art, on the boxes of their miniatures and then renders on the back. So why would they even hire a miniature painter? And the answer is that the stuff that I'm doing is for the website, for media articles, for taking to events so that they can show it off to the public and have painted setups there ready to go. And the kind of people that they hire for this, like Angel Giraldes is the other guy that's been doing a lot of stuff for them recently. And my imposter syndrome kicked in big time when they said that they were interested in hiring me because, like, I don't feel like I deserve to be alongside that kind of company. Um, but the kind of painting that you will see for that is, I call it trade display standard. And it's sort of, you kind of paint to tabletop plus, and then you kind of uplift things a bit. So it's not quite as good as like a full fat display piece like you would be doing for a box art, because obviously for a box art, the company's willing to spend quite a bit of money to commission a box art. But whereas for something that's mostly to be seen in person and only partially to be used online for sort of secondary marketing, it's kind of hard for companies to, justify a big box art equivalent budget. Um, so you're not going to see kind of my best painting going out in that stuff, but you're going to see some pretty good painting going out in that stuff, and certainly some painting I'm pretty proud of. A higher standard than I paint my own miniatures to, that's for sure. So that's kind of one of the big reasons why there's been no YouTube lately. There's been just a lot of new commission stuff coming in from new clients. And specifically when it's new clients, you kind of need that extra time to establish, what that client wants, how they want you to do it, what their procedures are, how you fit into that. Being a freelancer is, there's a lot of moving parts sometimes. Um, so that's one of the big things that's been keeping me off of YouTube. I'm painting a lot more. And the funny thing about that is that once I removed YouTube and just said, okay, I need to put this aside for a while and just paint for a while, something I realized very quickly is actually without YouTube, I have the capacity to get quite a lot of painting done. And that kind of makes me wonder about whether YouTube best serves my needs. Um, I don't want to quit YouTube. I want to make that really clear. I love putting videos up, and I enjoy the process of interacting with you all that comes from putting videos up. I think that's the biggest reward for me, is that it's kind of a way that I can put all my ideas into this little sort of 8 to 10 minute package and then put them out into the world, and you can interact with them. And then I can get that feedback, and that's an interesting sort of reciprocal process. Um, Video editing itself, kind of find a chore, which is why you don't tend to see a lot of really advanced editing in my videos. I don't really love video editing. It's not my passion. And if YouTube made more money, I'd hire someone to do that for me. But the truth is, ad revenue on YouTube is just pennies, unless a video is doing like 100K views plus, it's not even breaking even. The cost of making the video is far exceeds what it makes in money. And obviously we're a business, so when we've got these new clients coming in and we've got this new work coming in, obviously we have to push back the thing that's not making money during those times in order to do the thing that actually keeps food on my table, keeps Leo paid, keeps me paid, allows us to have a life outside of the studio. Obviously everyone would make that decision. That isn't controversial. But what that does mean is that actually I've realized the studio actually, has probably a slightly higher capacity for work than I realized. So as such, if you are in the market for a commission, then, have a little look over on our website. I'll post a link to that below, and get in touch, because we want to paint for people, and obviously, not all of it is me at my more experienced and therefore more expensive rates. Some of it is also Leo, who is a bit cheaper. So yeah, that's just a quick plug. That's more of an aside. There's also a couple of other things that I've been working on that are quite time consuming and they've kind of hit a stumbling block actually, but they do contribute to why I've not been on YouTube. The first is I'm actually creating a miniature war game, and as well as creating a miniature war game, I'm trying to create a line of miniatures to go with it. Now, we don't have the capital to do that. You know, sculpting miniatures is expensive. It costs about £400 a miniature to have one made. Once all the sort of extra bits have been paid for that go along with it, like licensing and stuff, about £400 a miniature. Um, that would very quickly become too expensive for us to afford. So we decided to crowdfund that. The game rules are written to a degree where they can be play tested. And so what we've done is made a bunch of kind of generic profiles for now that just kind of encapsulate the feel of approximately what a character of this type might do. But the game is very much built around very small units of character models and played on a 2 foot by 2 foot or a 3 foot by 3 foot board. Now, with a 2 foot by 2 foot board, obviously you don't want a ton of miniatures on there, right? You want to keep kind of the count of models fairly low. And so the game is kind of designed that you would be playing maybe 3 character models and then like 3 or 4 minor supporting models. You know, so like 7 miniatures aside maybe would be your normal game size on a 2 foot by 2 foot board. And as a result, it's very compact. And that means that it plays quite kind of fast and close. Ranged attackers are very strong because they generally have enough range to hit like the entire board. You know, it's an interesting take on a game. We also are using card-based mechanics rather than dice-based mechanics, which is something that obviously if you've played Malifaux, you'll recognize. We do it in a different way. Our card mechanics are based around building poker hands and then using poker hands to fuel different abilities. So it's kind of interesting, bit of a different take. We've tried to make it very accessible. We provide a measuring system that doesn't require tape measures if you don't like using tape measures. So there's a widget that you can print out and cut out and, you know, use that instead of a tape measure, and it's got all the measurements predefined on it. But obviously we also give the conversions for those measurements, so you can just use a tape measure if that's more your jam. It's pretty cool. And again, I'll post a link below to where you can check it out, where you can get on. We have one sculpt done for it, and that sculpt is going to have to be resculpted. And that's, again, another thing that has been a disaster. And that's kind of the next thing I want to talk about. So we hired someone to produce a sculpt for us, gave them a bunch of visual reference. I'm not going to name and shame them before anyone asks. So please don't comment below asking for me to name and shame them, because I won't. But essentially they just constantly struggled to follow our requests the whole way through, and we were constantly having to ask for corrections, and then they would resubmit the model and the corrections wouldn't be what we asked for. So we'd then have to ask for a new set of corrections that were either reiterating our previous ones or undoing something that they'd done without us asking, that kind of stuff. It ended up getting really chaotic, and by the end of it, the miniature that we have, although it is up and available because people that have been supporting the creation of the game through crowdfunding, I didn't want them to have nothing to show for it other than a set of rules. And yes, it's a cool set of rules, but you know, I wanted there to be something physical there as well. But we're not happy with the miniature, and the miniature will be being resculpted. Just, you know, as long as enough people get on board and support the game, the money that goes into the coffers for the game will be spent on sculpting. That's essentially what it's for. So, you know, you guys will pitch in sort of £7-8 a month each, and every couple of months we'll be able to afford a sculpt. And every new sculpt that comes out for the miniature, you'll get it before the game is released. When the game goes on to general release, there'll be a welcome pack that has, you know, a set of sculpts in it, but you'll get everything first. That's kind of the reward. You get to be playtesters, which means that you get to feed back what needs to change with the rules and stuff like that. And you get to own the sculpts before anybody else. You get to see like concept art as it comes out, that kind of thing. So we want to get that rolling, but since getting the rules finished, because we had that big setback with the first sculpt, it has slowed down a lot. So again, that's another thing that there'll be a link to below. You know, if you've been starved for TMS related projects while we've been off YouTube, trust me, we've got a lot going on that you can take a look at. So there's going to be links below to all sorts of cool stuff. So on to the third and final thing that's been keeping me off of YouTube. I have written an RPG. Well, okay, I've almost written an RPG. And again, it's on Kickstarter at the moment. I will link the Kickstarter just so that you can have a look at what we're doing. But the Kickstarter is going to be taken down because it's not going to fund. And I'm going to be clear about that straight up front. And I kind of sort of knew it wasn't going to fund. I sort of wanted to put it up on Kickstarter just to get a bit of a gauge of like how people might feel about what the project was. And I was like, well, if it funds, then it funds, and that's sick because we can just do it. If it doesn't fund, we can take that knowledge and then come back to Kickstarter in a few months' time with something that's way better and way more likely to fund. So I know it's kind of weird, but Kickstarter ended up sort of being more of a litmus test than a serious attempt to publish the game. So what is the game? So I am into like every aspect of the nerd sphere. Like I love trading card games, role-playing games, miniatures games, all of it. Board games, another one. It's all, you know, real big deal to me, and I really enjoy it. It's kind of what I built my life around. So as a logical progression, at a point that I, you know, have this miniature painting business, I've decided to make a war game. I've made a rule set for a war game that I feel is really robust and really cool. I've started promoting that and building it. Now the next logical step was to make a role play game. And I decided to kind of do a similar thing and forego dice in favor of playing cards because it's, well, for a start, it's something you don't really find in RPGs very often. I can't recall ever seeing an RPG that uses cards instead of dice. But the other thing is, cards, obviously, they have larger print for people who might be visually impaired. They are much easier to grab hold of and handle. They don't go rolling off the table and stuff like that. So for people that maybe have you know, fine motor skill difficulties, it helps them. So it's not just the kind of thing of it being different. It's also actually kind of a bit more inclusive than dice, which I thought was a cool bonus effect of doing something a little bit different. But the card mechanics aren't really the centerpiece. The card mechanics are kind of the thing that people will point out and go, oh, that's different. The world building for this RPG is what I think is kind of cool because we're trying to blend post-apocalyptica and cyberpunk into one genre, which is like, if you've ever played any of the Art Alzorian cyberpunk RPGs like Cyberpunk 2020, Cyberpunk 2013, Cyberpunk Red. These are the games that influenced the Cyberpunk 2077 video game. So, and you'll know that that setting kind of has a bit of a sort of post-apocalyptic feel alongside its cyberpunk. But I kind of wanted to hold a magnifying glass up to that and take it to its extreme conclusion. So again, I'm not going to sit here and waffle about lore and stuff because if you go to the link for the Kickstarter, you can read about the game. And if you like it, then you can back it. Like, it's still got a month left on Kickstarter, right? So if it funds, great. That funding pays for it to be printed, and we will print it and we will send it to everyone that backed it. There's no danger there because the game is pretty much all written in draft format. It just needs typed up and prettified, and that's kind of what we're working on whilst the Kickstarter's running, is typing it up and prettifying it. So like, if you like the look of it and you want to back it, by all means back it. But if you like the look of it but you're not quite sure yet, just hold back, because if, like we suspect, it doesn't fund, it is going to be coming back to Kickstarter, but as a much more presented, complete package, much more of as a game that just needs to be printed, basically, rather than needs to be prettified and then printed. And the problem, obviously, with something not being prettified is it's kind of hard to show it off when it isn't prettified. So we've been limited in what we've been able to show people, and we've had to kind of roll stuff out in stages, which kind of isn't the Kickstarter way. I didn't know that. I'd never Kickstarted anything before. I know nothing about Kickstarter. So yeah, that was all kind of a bit weird for me. I learned a lot about Kickstarter by trying to put something up on Kickstarter, which is like, it's dumb and it's not really the way to do it, but it's also very much how I learn. So I'm kind of glad for it. I don't mind making mistakes if they give me an opportunity to learn and improve. And I'm not afraid to wear those mistakes and use them as an experience to grow. So it's kind of fine, right? No harm will be done. Anyone who backed it and doesn't, and it doesn't actually fund, that's the word that they use, and they'll just get their money back. So it's like that happens through Kickstarter. That's automatic. We don't get any money unless it funds. So any money that gets paid into it will just sit in Kickstarter, and if we don't hit the goal, it will just go back to people. So like, there's no danger for anyone, because if it funds, that money is literally for printing it and sending it to people. So like, it's done, right? It's a very safe project, which is cool. Like, it's good to be able to have a very safe Kickstarter. There isn't a bunch of different manufacturing parts that could all cause problems. It's literally me and the graphic designer are working together to create the thing. We send the PDF to the print company prints the copies come to me, I post the copies to people. Like, there's no danger there. So that's sweet. So again, if you are one of the people that follows me here on YouTube and RPGs are a thing that interests you, at least go and have a look at it, and then maybe come back and leave me a comment of what you think about what we're doing with it, or leave a comment on the Kickstarter, give us a bit of feedback. But yeah, that's kind of, the major projects. So the last thing to talk about is, why make this video then? So why tell you all of this? Well, a couple of reasons. First of all, obviously, without me being present, without me having the time to be on YouTube and talk to you all and create new video projects and stuff like that, it's, things kind of fade and you're forgotten. The algorithm forgets you. People stop showing an interest in what you're doing. And, that doesn't it doesn't upset me in the sense of like I hold it against people. I get it. If something isn't present and there and making content, putting things out into the world, it's very easy to just move on to the next thing and get your fix elsewhere. And, there's no malice to it. But obviously, we kind of don't want that to happen because we enjoy making videos. Like, I enjoy putting videos out on the channel. So, I wanted to kind of just touch bases with you all again, let you know that I'm still alive, that TMS is actually doing better than ever, not struggling, and that's not why we're not on YouTube. The truth is that actually we're killing it right now, and that's why we're not on YouTube. But we could always be killing it more, so don't let that hold you back. If you have commissions for us, don't let that hold you back, because we still want the work. We still very much want the work. But the second thing is because I've kind of had a bit of a realization recently, and I want to hear your thoughts on it because it very much will shape the future of the channel. I've been starting to feel a bit like mini painting as a genre is kind of dead on YouTube. And I know obviously I'm going to need to qualify that. So if you think of videos as a product, there are certain types of different products. In fact, I'll tell you what, before we get into this, let me have another quick sip of coffee. Sorry, I had a mouth like a crocodile's toenails and I just really, really needed to swallow some coffee before we carried on. So yeah, if you think of YouTube videos as a product, there's kind of, different types of products, right? And you have the sort of the informational product, the entertainment product, and then there's kind of the personality product, which is, often an opinion piece or an exploration, things like icebergs, where you're watching the product because of the person creating it. You're watching the video because of the person creating it rather than the content itself. I mean, that's kind of what this video is, to be fair, because this video is not going to get like 100k views. It's going to get probably, 500 views from my regular viewers, maybe 1,000 if I'm lucky. It's not going to be super seen unless people kind of share it and say there's good shit in this video that you might want to hear. But when it comes to miniature painting specifically, that's kind of difficult because I feel like there are better people on the platform to teach you through the medium of video. I'm a very good teacher in person. I do private tuition. I do classes. I've got a class coming up in September down in Salisbury with Rising 8 Minis. Um, if you put me face to face with people, I can really, really help them. But creating tutorials through YouTube, they don't just need to be informational, they also need to be entertaining. And I find it very hard to do both of those things at the same time. I can be entertaining, I can chat shit and be funny, and I can be informational. I can tell you the things you need to know about the thing. But doing both at the same time, which is sort of what YouTube tutorials need to be, is just not really my strong suit. And so tutorial content's never really done well for the channel. And obviously, it's not all about the numbers, but at the same time, if I want a video to be financially worth my while to put out, it needs to be seen. There needs to be either ad revenue or sponsors, and both of those are attracted through views. So it makes no difference, right? Then, we get onto opinion pieces, and I kind of don't have opinions these days about miniature wargaming because my opinions are kind of divided into, oh, that's cool, or don't really care. And that's a weird place to be in as a YouTube creator, right? Because, how do you make content about that? I don't care about the latest GW scandal or how they're fleecing their customers this week because I don't play any of their games. And I only paint their miniatures for other people. I'm not buying them. I never buy them for me. I wouldn't buy them for me because they're not they're game pieces, right? For playing GW games. And I don't play GW games. I buy Infinity miniatures and Malifaux miniatures or cool little weird indie sculpts that I think look nice or busts that I want to paint for competitions. That's the kind of shit that I'm buying. So why do I care what's going on in GW? And therefore, how can I pass any comment on it, right? How can I meaningfully add to the discussion in a way that is productive? I can't. So there's no point in me talking about it. I could continue to do things like product reviews, and actually there are a few product reviews coming. We've got a review of a really cool game called Takare that is in the pipeline for YouTube. It's actually way overdue now. I'm sat here looking at the boxes. They're just off camera over here. It's a review that we really want to get up, and I like doing game reviews, but you can't build a channel around just doing game reviews, right? Game reviews are fun, and obviously we still want to do them. And I feel like we're in a good position to do game reviews because, like I say, we've started making our own game now. I have from the ground up designed a rule set for a game that is still in its playtest phases. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is, right? I'm saying, when I say this thing about the game is good, this thing about the game I wasn't so keen on, I'm then putting my money where my mouth is and saying, this is how I would make a game. And I'm putting that out to the world for the world to criticize, right? So it's I get to have a say, yeah. It's okay for me to review games and talk about positives and negatives, especially because a lot of that's subjective anyway, and really it's just whether you agree with me or not as to whether you find value in the review. It's not really about whether I'm right or wrong. So yeah, reviews just aren't a channel in their own right. Opinion pieces are kind of irrelevant for me, and painting tutorials are just something that I don't think I'm in the best position to do. And so this is the part where I want to talk to my loyal viewers, the OGs, the people that have been here since day one, or maybe the people that stumbled upon my channel for a specific thing that they really dig in and they've kind of stuck around to see if I do more of that. What is it about TMS, about me, on YouTube that you enjoy? What are the reasons you watch? Because when I look at my most successful videos, they're all opinion pieces. And again, it could be imposter syndrome, but I don't feel like I should really be making those anymore. And when I look at all of my next most popular videos, they're all tutorials. And I don't really feel like I should be making those. Like, I feel like there's other people that can teach you better than I can through the medium of a YouTube video. So, my question to you all is either what do you think is the best thing that I do on YouTube? Like, what do you like about what I do on YouTube? Or what do you think I should be doing on YouTube that I'm not doing? Because a comeback is coming, you better believe. Like, obviously, at some point, I'm going to clear some of this commission backlog. I'm going to get these projects, the role play game, the miniatures game, I'm going to get them wrapped up. And then I'm going to have a bunch more free time. And when I've got that bunch more free time, the logical thing to do is going to be to get back on the YouTube bandwagon. So when that happens, like, what do you want to see? What do you actually want from the channel? Because when the channel comes back properly, I want it to be the biggest, bestest version of the channel ever. I want to give you guys what you want. Like, that's what I enjoy. I enjoy providing people with stuff that they find valuable. So what do you want? What do you want to see? What do you think we do well that we should do more of? And hopefully we can create a TMS channel that gives you the stuff that you enjoy. Because that's what it's all about for me. It's about you guys having fun, and we want to be, a catalyst to that. We want to encourage you to enjoy yourselves. So, yeah, it's been a much longer update video than I planned on it being. I don't really know how I'm going to even frame this so that the algo doesn't absolutely bury it. But fingers crossed, people will see it. They'll see the stuff that we're doing. They'll interact. They'll engage. I hope you do, because everything that we're doing right now is for you folks. We're trying to provide new ways for you guys to have fun. It's very easy to think that a lot of stuff that YouTubers do is just driven by profit. To be honest, when you're at kind of my size, and even all the way up until you're quite a bit bigger than me, to be honest, the majority of the financial hustling that YouTubers do is so that they can tread water, so that they can keep going, and keep providing the entertainment that you want. We're not like Mr. Beast making millies. That's not what YouTube is for the vast majority of YouTubers. There is a 1% on YouTube that are doing exceptionally well from the platform, from sponsors. But for the majority of us, it's just about treading water, keeping going, and being able to just keep doing what we love doing. And we do all love it, myself included. So hopefully some feedback will come of this video. Hopefully the algo won't bury it. Hopefully you're excited for Nexus, our new miniatures game. Hopefully you're excited for Liberty Inc., our new role-playing game. Hopefully you're excited to see some of the cool shit that we've been painting lately, and that makes you want to commission us, because all of those things will contribute to, when the channel comes back, the channel being the best version of itself. So yeah, give me that feedback, folks. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe, do all of that stuff as well, because that really helps. Sorry to have come back with a 30-odd minute talking head video. Not ideal, maybe, but you know what? I think there's still a lot of good stuff in this video to hear, a lot of stuff that's worth shouting about. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you later.